Hi, my name is Mayanthi. I'm a qualified counsellor and I make videos about how I became a counsellor and what you might want to know if you're looking to become a counsellor as well. So in this video, I'll be sharing how to become a school counsellor. So I feel like becoming a school counsellor is quite high up in the interest area of counsellors and people looking to become counsellors. But it's actually surprisingly not that easy to become a school counsellor. So I'll just talk through the different pathways if you're hoping to become a school counsellor. So generally there are different pathways for different types of schools. So there are private schools and public schools. In Australia, if you're hoping to become a school counsellor at a public school, you actually have to have an education degree or some kind of experience or background in education. So just a disclaimer, I'm not an expert on this, but this is just the information I've found throughout my journey because I was also interested in becoming a school counsellor at one point. So I did look into it, but if you're hoping to get into a public school, you do need to have that education background as well. So when you're looking at what you want to study at uni, make sure to think about where do you want to get in the end. So if you're planning to become a school counsellor, then think about doing some kind of education degree or certificate or diploma. I'm not sure of all of the options in the education space, but maybe talk to a university or training provider and see what they offer and where it could lead you to. So as I said, public schools, they're generally looking for someone who has a teaching background, but also the psychology and counselling background. So you may do a Bachelor of Psychological Science and then look at further study in education or teaching. And that is to get through to be a counsellor at a public school. The other option is to work at a private school. But in terms of private schools, they're generally looking for a psychologist. So if you have a look into private schools and what kind of mental health support they have, you will find for the most part they are psychologists. But I guess private schools are a bit more open in who they can employ as their school counsellors and psychologists. So they may be open to someone with a counselling degree. But again, you have to go into that school and speak to them and see what they're actually looking for. There is another alternative. So it still involves working within schools, but you're not directly the school counsellor or psychologist. And that pathway is to work within an organisation where they go into schools and provide groups or support in certain ways or counselling sessions outside of the classroom. So an example of this is I worked for Relationships Australia in South Australia, and I was part of a team where we would go into schools, take a student out of the class who was a client of Relationships Australia, and we would sit with them for an hour and either do some sort of play activity or sit with them and talk and see what's going on. So these kids were going through homelessness or domestic violence situations, so they were eligible to have our support because they needed more than just what the school could offer. So I found that a really nice alternative to being a school counsellor because you got more of a broad range of experience and you still got to go into schools, see how it worked in the school, work with kids in the school, and part of that role was also running school holiday groups. So we would pick up kids in the morning, take them to a location, generally a council-owned space, and we would run like a whole day group session where we'd do all different types of therapeutic activities. So I really enjoyed that type of work. I felt like it had a lot of purpose to it. And it was just nice to be able to give these kids a different experience because of what they were going through at home. And, you know, the kids don't have any choice or control over what's going on at home. So, you know, they just can't leave. So it's nice to be able to take them out of that space and show them something different, show them supportive adults around, and give them a nice day experience. So just to summarize, if you're looking to work at a public school, you're most likely going to need some kind of education or teaching background. If you're looking to work at a private school, you generally have to be a psychologist. But if you're just looking to work with kids in general and maybe do some work in schools, look at an organisation where you can be employed as a counsellor there, and then allows you to go and do that work within schools or with children within their homes and out in the community. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe and hit the thumbs up button, and I'll see you in the next video.